Welcome to Getting Real with Real Estate with Danielle Kempf and Jim Kempf, St. Louis's favorite father-daughter real estate team. Your source of real estate information in the greater St. Louis area.
We're
All right. Hey, welcome to the podcast today.
Welcome back, everyone.
What's going on?
Oh, not much.
We got a good show today, I think.
We do.
We're gonna talk about the presidential election.
2024. Who's it going to be?
Ooh. We're not going to talk politics.
We're not going to talk politics. We're not going to try and get canceled on today's episode.
Right. No political joke. Well, we got a political joke, but we do have a joke.
We do have a joke.
We got a joke. It's a great one.
And so
it's about politics.
It's about,
kinda.
it leads into the topic today. And
Okay.
so I was looking for a
Fire
good
away.
president. Well, I was going.
Sorry.
I was going.
Yeah,
wow.
sorry about that.
So I was looking for a good presidential joke to tie into today's topic, but I couldn't find a good president. Again, we're not trying to get canceled, anyone. But
What is
comment
that?
below if you have a favorite president.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like you got a favorite. Who was your favorite president? And
I honestly think I could probably name like 2 or 3 presidents, unfortunately.
that's a sad state of affairs.
It probably is. Teddy Roosevelt, I think, would probably be my favorite because he created the National Park Service.
Really?
And I think that's pretty cool.
That is kind of cool. Yeah.
So he's my favorite.
Okay.
Any votes for Teddy?
I don't know. All
We'll
right.
see.
Leave us some comments. That'd be fantastic. That would be awesome to see who everybody's favorite president is. I'm not going to tell you mine. I don't know. Yeah, I probably could tell you.
Who is it?
Reagan. I think Ronald Reagan. I loved him.
Okay.
The Gipper. He was an actor. I mean, he was awesome. He tells good jokes too. He told really good.
I should have got one of his
I've
jokes
been
then.
like seeing like YouTube stuff. I don't know why, but it's on my whatever you call it, right? And I keep getting
Your feed?
Reagan
Yeah.
jokes. And he's
He's getting
hilarious.
Reagan jokes.
He's hilarious. So.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, so
So
today
what does the president have to do with, the
president?
housing market?
the president doesn't have anything to do
president.
with it. But what we're
there
going to
we
talk
go.
about? No. Here's what we're going to talk about, though. Not necessarily the president, but the election, right?
True.
How many times have you heard? I've heard this a million times. You haven't been quite in business as long as me,
I've
but
been 2. This is my
I've
second
heard-
election.
yeah. So I hear it all the time. Like I'm not going to do anything till the presidential election's over. Blah 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 blah. Either the market's going to go up or down, or because of the election.
Yeah.
And I guess what we're here to tell you today that it probably
Not quite
doesn't matter,
true.
folks. Hate to tell you.
Yeah.
And a lot of some of the information we got was from our friend Ryan Serhant. Kind of a few, really 3 main reasons why we think our crystal ball thinks that the presidential election is really not going to do anything to the housing market. Okay, so you guys ready for all this?
Ready.
This is
And we
pretty
have
high
some
tech.
historical data. So it's
No,
not
we do.
just
We
our
got-
crystal ball.
Yeah, we're not
we have
just
some
like
data.
making this up. Yeah,
No.
this is like true stuff.
We're not making this
So-
up.
Can't make this up. I tell people that too sometimes. Okay.
All right, so what's our
So-
first point on
well,
why?
So the first thing we're going to talk about why is because of the Federal Reserve, right?
Okay.
And so I guess a lot of people well, what the hell is that, right? What's the Federal Reserve? The
I know
Fed.
it as the Fed.
The Fed, yeah. So what are they, right? So
Who knows?
what they are is they're technically a government agency, right? But they're really non-political by design, right? They have one goal, and that's to regulate the economy.
Just to make sure the health of the market's, stable enough, right?
Yeah. They want to keep the economy growing, and their target or their goal is to have inflation run at about 2 to 3% a year, right? So
Yep.
pretty simple. Everybody's been complaining about inflation for the last few years, but that's a whole nother podcast. So that's kind of their goal. So
But what is the Fed?
Yeah,
like,
what is
that's
because
their goal. What are they?
Yeah, well, a lot of people might not know what it is, and we'll just give you just a real quick over. The Fed's made up of 3 key entities, right, in the Federal Reserve System. So the Board of Governors, the Federal Open Market Committee, and the 12 Federal Reserve banks. Okay. So the Board of Governors, what they are, what they do is they're an agency of the federal government that reports to and is directly accountable to Congress, and they provide general guidance for the system, for the Federal Reserve System, and oversee the 12 Federal Reserve banks. Okay, so there's 12 of them around the country.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
The FOMC,
The FOMC.
Federal Open Market Committee.
Or FOMC.
That's not what they call it. We don't know. That's an inside joke,
That's
by
a
the
joke.
way. The Federal Open Market Committee is composed of 12 members. Okay, so you got 7 members of the Board of Governors and 5 of the 12 Federal Reserve banks? Are you doing like
I'm doing fingers
fingers
so I can keep track.
How do you
We're
get
just
to 12?
having fun
How are you
today.
going to get to 12? You take a shoe off or what?
Yeah, might as well.
So what the Federal Open Market Committee, the FOMC, does is they oversee open market operations, right? Which is the main tool used by the Federal Reserve to influence money market conditions and the growth of money and credit in the United States, right?
Okay.
And again, they're trying to get things to grow. They can when the market's good and inflation starts growing, they can raise rates to cool things off, right? When a market's not so good, they can lower those rates to get people investing and get money flowing and make the economy grow.
Okay, makes sense.
And then the Federal Reserve banks, right? We said there were 12 of those, right? And so they were established by Congress as the operating arms of the nation's central banking system, and you mentioned it earlier. They're like the bank for banks.
They're the bank
right?
for banks.
So you can't go into one of them and get you a checking account and a credit card. But what they do is they're the bank for
like
banks.
we deposit our checks into our bank. That bank goes to other bank to circulate the checks and get the money and the currency moving around.
Throughout the system, and they provide loans to banks like overnight loans, those kind of things, swaps and stuff like that. They also supervise and examine all bank holding companies and commercial banks, right, to make sure that everybody's kind of following the rules and we don't have like a crisis like the S&L crisis back when I was a kid. And then they also participate in setting a monetary policy. So that's just kind of in a nutshell what they do.
In a nutshell.
So again, why does the presidential election not really like the election? It really don't matter who's in office, right? The Federal Reserve is going to do what the Federal Reserve wants to do.
Yeah, it's what they're doing what they're designed to do.
Yeah,
no matter, like you said earlier, who's president.
Yeah, and so like a lot of folks do think that interest rates are set by
the Fed.
So like the Federal Reserve, the discount rate that the Fed sets, that's not exactly correlated to your mortgage interest rate.
Agreed.
Right?
I've heard that one a lot.
Yeah, but a lot of people think it is. So
They do.
and everybody's waiting for this quarter point drop in September, which will probably happen. That's my crystal ball prediction for the day. But that doesn't necessarily mean your mortgage rate's going to drop when they do that, because I think the market's kind of already priced that in. They already expect.
They've already adjusted.
They already expect that to happen. So interest rates for your mortgage, folks, for your 30-year mortgage, are usually based on that 10-year Treasury. And
or at least they follow it, I think. Are they based off it, or do they more so just follow it?
Well, they follow it like to the T, pretty much.
Okay.
That's really kind of when it goes up, rates go up. When it goes down, it goes. So it's pretty much a given on that. I think that's how that'll play out. Okay.
Okay.
So that's reason number one.
Number one.
Okay.
All right.
What's reason number two?
Executive policy.
Executive policy. So, what do we mean by that, right?
Well,
so
every 4 years we hear a lot of promises on TV.
Right.
And, a lot of it takes time to come into fruition.
Right.
Some of it doesn't come into fruition.
Some of it and most of it probably never.
Never sees the light of day.
I hate to say that because I sound like I'm negative on the political institutions that we have in our country, but anyway. But I think the moral of this one for the executive policy is like change doesn't happen overnight, especially in the government. They take their sweet time. Every candidate is going to say how they're going to change the world the day they get in office, but let's face it doesn't happen, right?
Yeah, not much happens on day one.
Right. And I mean, sometimes they can introduce some legislation or whatever, but even
then it has to go through the proper channels to even hit, everyday people like ourselves.
Right. And, again, this is my political
You're going to be
commentary.
negative.
No, but everybody knows how bipartisan our,
true,
Congress and all that stuff, they can't agree on what time of day it is. And, how are they really going to set, give any president any room to do it and make any policy changes? It's going to be kind of rare. But you made the point. It takes time to do that, right? And, that might not happen. You could do something today, and it might not take an effect till
10 years from now.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's
right?
an exaggeration, but maybe you never know.
Right. So that's reason number two.
Okay. Yep.
Is that politics doesn't move quickly.
No.
And then the last one really is it's just general supply and demand, right? And
we've talked about it before.
Yeah, I think we have, right? The fundamentals of real estate are just like the fundamentals of anything else is based on supply and demand. And right now, just as it has been for quite some time, is there's just not enough housing inventory still.
Still, right? I mean, you've said it because it was before I got in the business. You said like 2018 or so is kind of when it started changing a little bit.
Yeah, I guess.
Or became, COVID 2020 became heavy seller's market.
Yeah, that's when it really went crazy. But nowadays, like everybody, everybody's got such low interest rates, right? People that have mortgages. Not everybody, but most.
Most people.
If you bought a house since COVID, you got a pretty low interest rate. You don't really want to get rid of that.
No.
A lot of people are saying.
I don't blame them.
Which I don't either. I mean, I would be the exact same way. But I just think that ever since even the Great Recession, right, in between 2008, 10, 9, 10, whatever that hit around the different parts of the country, it started at different times. But the bottom line there is that ever since then, the growth in housing has not kept pace with the growth of the population.
Yeah.
So there's just a fundamental shortage.
Agreed.
And I think you're going to still see that's not going to change overnight. It sure as hell ain't going to change on when a president changes hands in January 6th or whatever next year.
Okay.
Well, maybe.
Who knows?
Hopefully, right? But I digress again. Anyway, so that's a long-term play, right?
That's a long-term play. But let's talk about some of the data, because we just kind of
spewed
our two thoughts on.
Yeah, it's not like we're just making this up.
Yeah.
Right?
So you were talking about.
But not really.
Kind of.
No.
But kind of like you were mentioning, existing home prices, existing homes have continued to sell, and the prices have continued to go up.
They have. And if you look back in the last 7 of the last 8 presidential elections, home prices went up after the election.
Except for one.
Right, except for one. And when was that?
2008.
And why was that? Because in 2008, all hell broke loose, and that's when things
the bubble burst.
Yeah, pretty much, exactly. Yeah. So on all the other ones, home prices went up. And then sales volume has been up in 9 of the last 11, or after 9 of the last 11 elections, right? So that goes back 11 times 4 is 44 years, right? That's a long time.
Yeah.
So 9 of the 11, and the 2 where the sales actually went down were when?
1980 and after the 1988 election.
1980, right. So what was going on
back in 1980, Jim?
What was going on in 1980?
You were around.
In 1980, let's see, what would I have been, a sophomore in high school maybe? Something like that.
You were in high school? Okay.
1980, yeah.
What year did you graduate high school?
1983.
Then yeah.
Yeah, so I was in high school. But in Friday, October 16th, 1981, interest rates were 18.53 for a 30-year conventional loan. That was the average, according to the Federal Reserve.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So no wonder in 1980,
and
they went down the year after 1980, right? Because
Yeah.
interest rates were crazy.
They were crazy.
That's 3
18,
times.
you said?
That's 18, right. That's
18%.
3 times
And
where they were today.
I don't want to say complaining, but people are out there, complaining about the 7% that we saw earlier this year, now down to about 6.5 or so now.
Well, so as of Thursday, September 5th, I got this from the Fred. Okay. You know what the Fred is?
The Federal Reserve Economics
Data. Yep. They got a nice big chart.
Long. Oh, I love their website.
Their website's cool as hell. 6.35% was the average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage, according to the
just early
Fred.
September 2024.
That was last Thursday.
Early September still.
Last Thursday, right? So the 5th. And that, guys and gals, is down probably a good percentage point, if not more.
Agreed.
Than like 12 to 18 months ago.
Yes.
So the rates have been coming down.
Mm-hmm.
That's obviously a good sign. They're not going to go back to 3%, folks. I hate to.
No, and we don't want them to. Because like you said, if the economy's not doing great, that's when they drop the interest rates. The Fed drops the interest rates to kind of stimulate the economy again. That's what they had to do back in 2020. Right. So unless you want the economy kind of tanking.
Well, and another good example of that is interest rates from about 2010 through the pre-COVID, right? Through about just before COVID, they hovered between like 3.5% and 5%, right?
Oh,
Which
so we're
that
a point
sounds
and a half there.
Yeah, but I mean that sounds great. But why were they that low? And the reason they were that low is because the economy the economy was recovering very, very, very slowly after the Great Recession.
Okay.
After the Great Recession,
yeah.
it just was a slow recovery, and so the Fed had to keep those rates kind of low. Then when COVID hit, of course, they went down to zero.
Yes.
The discount rate went to nothing, right? So I don't particularly want to have another Great Recession.
No.
And I don't really think having another global pandemic, I don't personally think those are two good ideas.
No, I really.
So I'd rather keep the 6% rate.
And I'm fine with that. Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but
no.
Anyway, so that's why we think and we'll have to look at this. This is going to be one of those podcasts we're going to look back at a year and see.
We're going to come back to
see how things turned out. But
yeah.
Guys, I think that when you find the right house,
it's a time old saying.
Marry the house and date the rate, right? If rates do go back down, which they're probably, the predictions, I think, all the smart people are saying they're supposed to go down some more next year, right?
And we're going to do a whole nother mini-series on that closer to the end of the year.
Yep, they said that,
last year.
A year ago, and they really haven't gone down much. But anyway, that's probably going to happen. They'll come down a little bit more. And so if that
but
makes sense.
But also think about it this way: when the rate comes down, that just has more people coming into the buyer pool. That's just more competition. If you're waiting for that rate to come down to save a little bit of money, you're just in that much more competition. There's the overbidding on the houses again. And is it really saving you that much money in the long run?
Probably not.
Probably
That's
not.
a great point.
I think we were talking about it earlier, and I'll just tangent one more time before we sign on off.
That's all right.
Since COVID, homes have appreciated, not quite, but nearly 50%.
In Missouri.
In Missouri,
right.
Yes. In Missouri, they've, appreciated 50% in 4 years, pretty much.
Roughly, yeah.
Why wait out on that, equity bill, too?
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen again.
Well, no, probably
But you're
not.
absolutely right. Start. If you're paying rent somewhere, then you're paying a landlord's mortgage somewhere, and you're making him rich. Why not help
make yourself
increase your own net worth and get in and start building some equity? Because it is proven. We know that we've done podcasts on it that home ownership is. It will help you over time improve your net worth by something like 10 times what that of a renter.
Yeah.
So
I think it might be more, but yeah.
Yeah, so maybe more than that, but it's definitely
it's a staggering number.
It is. You're right. It's something like, $10,000 or $20,000 versus like $200,000 or $300,000, if I remember correctly. But anyway, get in there and get it done. When you find the right house, get after it.
When it's the right time for you, it's the right time for you. Don't worry about the economical factors or...
Don't be afraid of an election.
Or global pandemic or whatever it may be. Hopefully not anymore.
Yep.
But whenever you're ready, just give us a call. We'll help talk you through kind of what's happening, help you connect with a mortgage advisor, kind of meet those goals and everything.
Yep. Get the plan going, and we'll get you in a new house when you're ready. All right.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Have a good one.
And don't forget to vote.
That's a good point. Everyone go vote this year.
We'll do another podcast before that, so we'll have to say that more than once. But okay.
Bye.
See ya.
You've been listening to Getting Real with Real Estate with the Kempf team. Have questions about real estate or something you'd like to discuss? Contact the Kempf team at 314-336-1926 or visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Kempf team. Don't want to miss any episodes? Follow us on your favorite podcast app or YouTube. The Kempf team. Real, honest real estate.